Hey everyone out there, I hope you all are doing well. I'm experimenting with some new lighting, and I also know that I just uploaded a video yesterday and now I'm uploading two today. I'm not sure why, but right now I'm just feeling very motivated and I figured there's no reason not to make a lot of videos at once if I feel like I can do it. And this is one of those topics I've been thinking about for a long time, but it was hard for me to really organize my ideas and how to make a video about it. So I'm not going to cover everything totally in depth. I might make another video on this in the future, but this should just be a nice short video. Some of you may know I'm a big proponent of having backwards compatible consoles. That is, a console that could play games from previous consoles made by the same company. For example, the PlayStation 2 could play all the PlayStation 1 games. PlayStation 3 could play all the PlayStation 1 games as well. And depending on the model you got, you could also have PlayStation 2 backwards compatibility. It was an option, which I thought was really good. I don't mind it just being an option, but I want that option. And I currently went out of my way, and I currently have an old backwards compatible PlayStation 3 that can play PlayStation 2 games. And I love it. It's important for a whole lot of reasons, though, to gaming culture as a whole. You know, there's a lot of debate about, hey, are video games art? But gaming culture goes way beyond that. Is it art? That's probably a topic for a different video. But gamers have a culture, and our culture obviously is based on the games, and especially series of games that last over long periods of time. Now, you all probably know by this point I love Metal Gear. I love the Metal Gear Solid series. So, let's talk about that and why backwards compatibility is so important to forming a cohesive gaming culture. So, Metal Gear Solid is very plot-based. And the first game I played in the series was Metal Gear Solid 4, actually. It came out in 2008. And then I went back, because I loved it so much, I went back and played Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3. Because I had the backwards compatible PlayStation, I could do that. Without the backwards compatibility, I only would have been able to play Metal Gear Solid 1. You know, I could have gone out of my way maybe to buy a PS2, but that would have cost me $100 anyway at the time, if not a little bit more. But because of that opportunity, it opened up a whole new world of everything from forums to YouTube videos to just references of other people I meet, gamers that I meet in person. And it gives kind of this connection. And it even gives a connection between generations, because there are a ton of people who played Metal Gear Solid 1 when they were young, who were like 20-something when when Metal Gear Solid 4 came out. And now I can talk with them about this whole series of games. It bridges what might otherwise be a generational gap between gamers. It gives us something solid to talk about all together. So the fact that I could go back and play these older games allows us to talk about these games years and years down the road. You know, you all out there maybe are not such big fans of Metal Gear Solid as I am, but you all have some favorite series of games, I'm sure. And think about in 20 years, don't you still want to be able to talk about your favorite games? Now, imagine if nobody from now on played Metal Gear Solid 4. Because the PlayStation 4, for some reason, can't play PlayStation 3 games. Which, by the way, really doesn't make any sense. I mean, Microsoft with the Xbox is adding a degree of backwards compatibility. I haven't looked into that a lot, so I'm not going to comment on it, but I know it's not fully backwards compatible. But Sony, what are you doing? The PlayStation 3 used Blu-ray discs. How does the PlayStation 4 not have the ability to emulate it when it is also based on Blu-ray? They're making you buy the same thing twice, which is another issue with not having backwards compatibility. You should already own a lot of these games, but now you have to buy them again in a digital form. Now, to me, it seems like a ripoff. Well, one of the biggest advantages for gaming culture, gamers as a group of people with some uniting experiences. Backwards compatibility is absolutely key for that to exist. Because again, in 20 years, don't you want to still be able to talk about old games? Don't you still want people to know what you're talking about? Maybe, you know, in 20 years someone plays Metal Gear Solid 4 for the first time and loves it, because it's so plot-based. Even if the gameplay becomes outdated, and the graphics will become outdated, the story is still so important. I mean, I loved Metal Gear Solid 1, even though I played it in like 2008. You know, it's a 10-year-old game, but I still loved it, because the plot was so good. I mean, the plot is so in depth and it addresses so many different topics. Even if the graphics aren't up to par, you now have this connection with people because you understand the story. Any game or any series of games that has a complex plot basically requires you to have played the earlier games to understand all of it. So if you can't do that, how is someone going to appreciate Metal Gear Solid 5? How is someone even going to appreciate future Final Fantasy games? You know, at future Halo games. They're all going to reference the previous games. It's all a continuity, it's all the same series. So if you haven't played them, you're going to be missing out on a lot of things. And, gaming is relatively young, but there are some people, and I agree with them, beginning to talk about preserving older games as kind of a historical artifact, something that we all have in common. But what other historical artifact do you actually have the ability to use for yourself the same way that it was originally used? I mean, there aren't any others, I don't think. Even books and stuff like that, the translations get changed and all that. You're not doing it, you're not experiencing it the way it originally was intended exactly. But games you can. And at this point it's becoming enough of a cultural phenomenon, and it has artistic value, and it has a lot of historical value, that we need to think about preserving it and allowing people in the future to experience it. So, for all these reasons, I think backwards compatibility is actually important culturally, as well as just for saving money and because it's a cool feature to have in your console. Anyway, that's all I've got to say right now. I hope you all have a good day.